And then finally in the main event, my God, Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta. I believe this was the third encounter between these two. Mox basically won a squash the first time. Yuta put up a little bit more of a fight the second time. And then here in this match was incredible. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, AEW, I believe, does go a little bit overboard with the blood. I don't think it would kill them to tone it back a bit. But for the purposes of this match, blood has never fit better. I mean, especially when Yuta says, I want to bleed with you to join you, or whatever that whole narrative is. For him to get in this ring with Moxley and not only be busted open, but busted open hard. Have you seen the still shot of Yuta's face with blood literally squirting out of his forehead? It's gnarly and awesome. He was out there looking like NWO Wolfpack Sting, just completely covered in red, battling his ass off. They even did the Austin and Brett WrestleMania 13 spot where Moxley had him in the submission. Wheeler is, clawing and he's bleeding and he's trying to push out of it only to fail, only to push out of it again. He was just putting up the fight of his life, taking Jon Moxley, former AEW World Champion, former WWE World Champion, to his absolute peak limit. He could not have been taken to his limit any more than Wheeler Yuta did. It was one of the most star-making matches I've ever seen. That is the perfect example of how you build new talent. That's how it's done. And to see Yuta get made like that in defeat, all of the AEW veterans there who have been working for the past 3 years with a lot of young talent, either as opponents or partners, has really helped elevate and build a lot of talent. This is how you do it. It cracks me up when I hear the biased fans, AEW doesn't know how to build stars. Oh, yeah, they do. That's what they've been doing the whole time. What the fuck do you think Jericho and Danielson and Punk and guys like this are doing there? Look at the guys that they're working with. They're not working with each other. They're working with the future of AEW. They're giving these guys these rubs 20 years from now. When guys like Jungle Boy or Wheeler or Yuta look back at their careers, they're going to refer back to these matches with Jericho or Moxley or Danielson or Punk or any established megastar like that they got a chance to work with in the ring. And I think that this is a classic example of how you build new stars. He comes in, he's given a story with the best friends, tension there. Regal, Moxley, Danielson kind of interested in Yuta, allowing him a chance to prove himself. He fights nearly to the death against Jon Moxley, and he loses, but he's accepted into the Blackpool Combat Club. He has got the Ring of Honor Pure Championship as well. He's covered in blood. Amazing visual. And that is a star-making moment. He's made now. And now he's a part of that group. Look at the people in that group with this kid. William Regal, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley have brought in a virtual rookie into their stable, that is going to really help him the way Inner Circle helps Sammy, the way Sting helps Darby. These are the things in AEW that I do believe they are doing extremely right. And the narrative and this idea that they only sign WWE guys, they're only a 3-year-old company. They didn't have a roster 3 years ago. There was nobody on the roster. The only people out there was released WWE talent and some well-known indie talent. That's what they had to start with. From there, they've taken advantage of WWE releasing great people like Keith Lee and Samoa Joe and guys like that. They've also lured Danielson away from WWE. They brought in CM Punk. They've been able to really beef up their roster, and all of these guys seem to have this drive to work with the younger talent. All of them. So it's not like WWE where you're having Brock be the one to end the Undertaker streak. In AEW, if they find themselves in a situation like that, they're probably going to have a super young guy do it. They'll have Darby do it or something, or MJF, or some other star of the future that's really going to be the foundation of that company when guys like Jericho, Danielson, Punk, and Joe are gone. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to preserve the longevity of the company, and you can only do that by making sure the company can continue to grow long after you're gone. Because they can't just rely on one person or a group of people forever. You have to bring in the next batch. And I think something right now overall, I think they're doing slightly better than WWE. And that was made clear at WrestleMania and stuff. So I think that them making not only this match with Yuta, putting him in the Combat Club with Mox and Danielson, when Danielson and Mox could both easily just be challenging for the world title individually. The fact that they've formed a group and a stable to help establish other talent, to me, is great. It's unselfish, and it's what pro wrestling is all about. And last night's match impressed the balls off of me, and it was so good, and that's just something you're not going to see in WWE. Like I said earlier, I think AEW cool it a bit on the blood. They don't need as much as they're doing, but I'm happy to see blood, and I'm happy to see blood when it's called for and when it's needed. I just don't need every match to be out there bleeding like Ric Flair and TNA, you know what I mean? But for the purposes of this match, it was needed, it was necessary, it called for it, and it fit the entire story perfect. And without it, I don't know how much of an impact this match could have made. I mean, it was definitely a good match, but that blood just took it over the edge. That blood made it an instant classic. That blood is going to make it a match, especially if Wheeler Yuta goes on to become a bigger star, and he does see more success and more success. They're always going to remember this match. It's going to be his WrestleMania 13. The way Austin always points back to the Brett match at WrestleMania 13 as the greatest match of his career, and without it, who knows what Stone Cold Steve Austin would have become. And I think Wheeler Yuta can look back to this one against Mox the exact same way. So props to Mox, props to Yuta. That was just a phenomenal main event last night. Enjoyed every fucking second of that.